Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Jack Bender, and welcome back to Bar4Bar. We are on episode 2. I wanted to also apologize for the 2 week delay that we had with episode 2. It's been so chaotic in my life recently, and I've had a lot of people on all my socials messaging me like, yo, where's episode 2? Where's episode 2? Are you ever going to put out episode 2? I'm like, yes, yes, yes. That didn't make sense for the first few. Just ignore that. But it's okay because we're here now. We're doing this. We got a lot of good content for you guys today, and I'm excited to get into some of these projects that I'm anticipating today, as well as other topics. So we're gonna start just with that today, guys. We're gonna go into the projects that I'm most anticipating that are coming up in the next month or two that I really want to touch on today. The first one I'm gonna touch on is Jordan Lucas and his ADHD project. It's supposed to release March 27th, and we've already gotten, it seems like 45% of the album already across like 10 singles, which is insane. I've never, it's been a while since I've seen an album that hasn't even dropped to have this many singles released in like ahead of its release. Why? I don't know, but it kind of scares me because his most packed project was Along Came Joiner, which was 21 tracks, and we already got like 10 of them for this one. So I have no idea how long this is gonna be, but or why he released this many off of it, even if it is even of similar length. But I'm not complaining. I am the only thing I'm complaining about is like a few of the singles because it's honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, it's been a really mixed bag. We've gotten some really good singles, especially like Isis. We got Devil's Work. I Love, which are actually the first three. I Love has a really catchy hook to it. Really infectious hook. The songwriting is decent too. There's a few good bars in there that I think are worth touching on. Devil's Work is also a really good song that I think thematically plays on something that that even if you don't agree with it, you have to like admire the lyricism. You have to admire the songwriting in it. I also got to touch on Isis because as much as I give Logic shit nowadays, full disclosure, coming from even a diehard fan of him, he had a solid verse on that. I think he added a lot to that track that, I really appreciated. I liked what he was saying in the track, and I think Joyner also had a decent performance in it. It's a banger. It is. I think Isis had a lot of replay value for me. But then you get to tracks like Broken Stupid, or even like 10 Bands. And first off, 10 Bands for Timbaland on production, I was kind of disappointed because Timbaland is one of the greatest producers, in my opinion, in the last decade. But even like on last year's 2019 Scriptures project by T Grizzly, which by the way he produced most of, it just wasn't doing it for me. The production is very underwhelming, especially for someone like Timbaland, and knowing what he can do. But not to take away from his greatness and his influence on hip hop today, but and especially on other producers, but it just wasn't up to par. And I think the hook was almost kind of, it was very gimmicky. It was very almost obnoxious in 10 Bands. I didn't care for it. I thought it was very cliche. Broken Stupid, although the message is very wholeheartedly, I guess, in the right, and he has a good heart. His heart's in the right place when he's saying it. I just think musically it wasn't hitting. It was a very cliche boom bap beat that I didn't care for, and I didn't in the sense that it was very generic. It was kind of like a cookie cutter type boom bap beat. Didn't really impress me all that much. So I guess what I'm trying to say is Jordan Lucas, across like 8 to 10 singles he's released, it's been a very mixed bag for me. But I still have to be excited for this album because Jordan Lucas, especially playing off a much more thematically based album in ADHD, hopefully thematically based, you got to be excited for what he can offer lyrically and how skilled of an MC he is. I don't see any reason to anticipate at least a decent release. Hopefully be even better than that. But I really want to see him come through with a good album, even top the album that I'm not gonna say because it's like a whole ass phone number, and then Along Came Joiner. I think this has the potential to top both, especially with the amount of recognition he's getting, the better production he's gotten since then, and the more recognition in the mainstream he's gotten since then. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure on him. I feel like he can deliver if he plays to his strengths really well. The next album I want to talk about is the new Weeknd album that we have coming up soon. It's going to be called After Hours. We've already gotten 3 singles off this thing, and I am super impressed with the Weeknd's first three singles. The worst one is Heartless. It's still amazing. It's very poppy, obviously, very Billboard, almost like it was trying to go for the billboards. Very catchy hook, of course. Very boastful, braggadocious songwriting. Never need a bitch, I'm what a bitch need. Like shit like that. It's kind of like you like to hear that, but then you also get like singles like Blinding Lights, which you can hear the clear Michael Jackson influence in it, in both his vocal delivery and also his and also the production, like the way it is tempo wise, the way it is instrumentally. I guess like the instrumental and the sample choice and all that is very Michael Jackson esque, and you clearly hear it in his vocal delivery that seems to be the vibe he was going for, but not to the point where he was trying to emulate it entirely. I think Blinding Lights was a really impressive single, and finally we got After Hours, like a 6-7 minute song, all just like the first minute and a half of it was just the instrumental, all for build up, and although I'm like 45 seconds into the track and I'm like, he's gonna start singing soon, and then you get to where he starts singing, and it all comes to light that the build up was perfect for it. The build up, really hit well. The build up kind of made everything that he said afterwards like sink in even more. It resonated with me a lot better. I think also this is some of the strongest songwriting I've seen from The Weeknd and his first three tracks, singles off the album. And honestly, why would you not be excited for the New Weeknd album? I think vocally he has such great vocal control, and that's something I've always seen from him, and he's been very consistent with that. He has the ability to go very high and dynamic with his voice, but also have amazing control over it. I see problems with this like in hip hop. I see problems with this with guys like YK Osiris or A Boogie with a Hoodie. They might either have like A Boogie with a Hoodie has like two vocal inflections he goes into, very high, very dynamic, but almost like all over the place, and then right back to like this really soft, whispery voice. It's like there's no in between, and it gets very monotonous, very repetitive. Although Artist 2.0 was a good album, I think I saw that a lot, which was almost made an exhausting listen at sometimes. YK Osiris, oh my god, I don't even want to touch on him because he is just so irrelevantly bad. Like not I gotta say, I mean, imagine getting a hit single with Worth It, and your first album being so bad and so poorly promoted. More emphasis on just the fact that it was dog shit. That you don't even sell. What do you chart it? Like 97 first week on the Billboard 200 with under like 10K units sold. What the fuck? What are you doing? Oh my god, his vocal control is also awful. He thinks that just by like singing in like a high voice he seems to be under this understanding that if you just sing in a really high voice, and you're just like doing all this shit with your voice fluctuating all the time, it's gonna sound good. No, it doesn't. I'm not saying he's not a talented singer or R&B singer, but oh my god, I'd rather listen to Nails Against a Chalkboard sometimes. It's awful. Like, people were grilling him for his XXL freestyle, or his XXL cipher, where he's trying to do the thing that fucking August Alsina did years past in like the 2014 one with Chance and Vic Benson and all that, but it just didn't come off right. But anyway, back to my point, The Weeknd is such a talented artist with, I think, some of the best songwriting among R&B and pop singers today. And you listen to something like After Hours, you could hear him pouring out his soul, and it sounds authentic. It sounds like, it doesn't sound like it's all fabricated for streams or for Billboard spots. It sounds like a straight pouring out of the soul, in a very, some tracks in a very transparent way, some tracks in a very left open for interpretation type way. And I'm excited. I think The Weeknd can really deliver on this album, and I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. I expect nothing less, honestly. The last album I want to talk about, which he hasn't even gotten a name for yet, but we got the first single for Friday, was Eminem. Eminem released a single called Shimmy on Friday. The single is actually seems to heavily kind of place emphasis on his flow and what he's saying. Because you get all these previous tracks off 1.5 or Good For You that you are very poppy hooks and stuff. I feel like he's trying to gain like a whole new level of respect from his audience and from the hip hop community with the way, the instrumental and the hook are like, the hook is very almost monotonous in like a good way, in the sense that like he's not trying to do too much with it, and and the instrumental is helping him place emphasis on what he's saying and his flow in the song. And this kind of gives me an indication, especially after 1.5, which, by the way, I loved. I loved singles like Reel It In. I love singles like Blackjack with Corday. But this gives me hope that Eminem, who, in my opinion, is one of the most creative artists of the trap era right now, that a lot of people are overlooking, it's got me excited for this next album. I just really wanted to touch on that real quick because, and I'm not going to go too much more into it because we haven't even gotten a title. We only have one single off it, but it's got me excited. I really am excited to see where he goes with this artistically, and even if he plays off anything thematically as well, which he hasn't really done the last two albums. But I think it'd be cool to kind of see him go that direction. I'm really interested to see if he decides to do that. The next thing I want to talk about is something that Eminem, has brought to my attention recently. Eminem recently posted a video on his Instagram challenging people through the app Triller or TikTok or whatever it is to rap his Godzilla verse and send in the submissions, and he might post some of them. He's already posted a few, and honestly, as impressive as the verse is, from like just being able to rap that fucking fast standpoint, there's been a lot of hate, and it's kind of like in addition to like the album when it initially released and the hate he got for that verse on that song. It's the people saying, just because you can rap fast doesn't mean you're saying anything. Just because you can rap fast doesn't mean you're better than everyone, blah, 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 blah. So I kind of want to touch on like a general topic. Is there really a problem with fast rappers in hip-hop? I see this with a lot of guys. I see it with Eminem, Joyner, Dax, Logic, all these guys who are even like those corny-ass YouTube rappers, Crypt and fucking Mac Lethal, who, by the way, I'm not even going to go there, but, I look at them, and so, for example, if you're someone like Eminem, you've reached a point in your career and in your longevity of doing this craft that you almost get bored. I kind of want to say, yeah, you kind of want to get bored. You kind of get bored with, like, doing all this the same way. If I'm Eminem and I have mastered this craft essentially, I'm gonna want to play around with things that haven't even been like touched on before. I'm gonna want to touch on like play around with new rhyme schemes, flow patterns, flow speeds, all that. It's as far as is it a problem? Yes and no. It depends on the situation. So, for example, Godzilla was meant to just be a fun banger. It's obviously, you got Juice WRLD on this very catchy hook. I think the people telling me that Eminem wasn't saying shit with his verse, I don't particularly agree. I think the Godzilla verse, although, I'm not saying every bar was like blow your fucking mind out of the water, type shit, where if you look at the lyrics, you're like, oh my god, he really just said that. He has some good bars in there, and honestly, the skill by itself of being able to rap that fucking fast, 706 syllables per second or some shit like that, or per minute, excuse me, it's insane. Like, the skill by itself is impressive enough that it adds entertainment value to the track, to to that entire record, and I don't see the hate for it. Now, if I'm on a song where I want to convey a message, so for example, let's take another track off that album, Darkness. Obviously, much slower pace because it's a much more serious, grave, sincere topic. You're talking about, you're putting yourself in the shoes in your head of the Las Vegas shooter. So this is something that you're gonna want to slow the tempo for down so people can hear what you're saying. It's not a flex. It's not to showcase any sort of skill. It's to convey a message. So, again, there's a time and a place for it. There's a time and a place for, this exhibition of how fast I can rap. And the people that are saying Eminem is corny for it or is not saying anything with it, I don't think even looked at lyrics. Like, he has some good bars in there. What did he say? He had, even in the beginning, at the end he said 100% to use a fifth of percent to use 100%. What the fuck did he say? He said 100% of you is a fifth of a percent of me, or something like that. It was a good bar, and it was like in the midst of all this. You're not gonna hear it overall. The insane speed at which he's delivering his lyrics, but it's like, it's dope. He's not blowing my mind out of the water with every other line, but it's cool. The skill by itself is impressive and adds so much entertainment value. And if you want to grill that, then okay, fine. But you can't take away how fucking impressive that is. Twista in his 1992 world record didn't even rap that fast. He rapped at like 682, 692 syllables a minute. Eminem hit 702. I don't want to hear it if you want to sit here and tell me that takes no skill or that's not impressive in one way or another, then I'm not even gonna listen to you. I'm really not. Now that's not to say I can spit bullshit and just spit out my ass for 2 minutes at 706 like syllables a minute, but that's not. But then you gotta keep in mind that the skill itself is so impressive that it alone is entertainment value, and it's not like he is saying shit out of his ass. It's some of the lines are dope. I do think that. I don't think there's anything more I could touch on with this. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but I think again there's a time and a place. I've seen more and more who he's using it in the wrong situation is Dax. Dax is he could be spitting as fast as he wants, but you're not saying shit. Like if you're really not saying shit, then we got a problem. But even then, it's kind of rare with him. I do fuck with Dax. I do. The next and final segment of our show today is something I wanted to do that I posted on Twitter, I posted on Snapchat, I posted on my Instagram. I kind of wanted to go through some Q&A. I asked you guys, what questions do you have for me in hip hop? And I asked that on all platforms, and I got some really cool questions. So I picked out 3 of the most interesting questions, in my opinion, that I really wanted to touch on today from viewers. The first one is from Nick Winters. He said, do you think gangster rap is coming back in terms of young rappers actually being hard? Do you feel this is positive or negative? Yes and no. I think most rappers nowadays are so fabricated. They fabricate their lyrics and their content so much, which, again, is not a bad thing. It's kind of like, what I was touching on a few weeks ago with the Billie Eilish thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with fabricating your lyrics because at the end of the day, rap is an art. It's music. It's for entertainment value. To think that everything has to be authentic and true to the bone would just be foolish because it's rap, and it's also not the only genre to do this. But I don't think it's coming back. I really don't. I think it's retractive. If anything, clout culture is really just taken over as like a primary concern as opposed to street code or staying true to the quote unquote gangster code or whatever you want to call it. I do think there are a few rappers that are really like about what they say. The one I want to touch on is DaBaby. DaBaby. How many people have tried to pull DaBaby's card? Tell me. And how many have succeeded? 0. It's like, so let's cite a few examples. Some guy tries to mug him in Walmart, shoots him and kills him. 3 guys try to break in his house, shoots one of them, and they all run away. Fan at a show tried to grab his chain while he was over near the front row, beat the fuck out of the fan. Why do people keep trying to? He jumped that dude who with his buddies that underpaid him $10,000 for a show. Like, I don't know why people like. You're not gonna win. Keep trying to pull the baby's card. It's not gonna win. It's not gonna work. He's one of the few guys I look at nowadays. I'm like, oh, the guy's authentic. He is really about what he talks about, and he's true to the bone. I guess you could say a thug, if you will. And it's respectable because he is genuine and authentic about it, and there is no cap in his rap, if you will. But that's the one thing. Again, overall, no, like hip hop has become progressively more fabricated in terms of not the personalities of rappers, what they really are, their substance, their lyricism. It's embarrassing and to old heads, but like you also gotta keep in mind it's a form of entertainment. It's not a big deal. I see no problem with it. But there are a few diamonds in the rough, like the baby who you can look at it and be like, oh yeah, he'll fuck you up. He'll shoot you. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick, even though I think most rappers are just not about what they say. It's Domingo Kite on Twitter asks, who's the best technical live performer, i.e. breath control, no backing vocal track, audibility, stage presence, etc. I gotta say, as far as the mainstream goes, because I've only seen so many artists live in concert personally, but obviously I've seen a lot of clips of them performing, and the way they control the crowd, the way they present themselves on stage and carry themselves consistently with the same energy throughout the show. For me, it's between Travis Scott and Denzel Curry, because they both have like scary energy on stage. Like, I just like go on YouTube and look at Travis Scott mosh pits, or even like Denzel Curry just doing like fucking kick flips, or like karate kicks midair in the middle of like performing Threats or some other song like that. It's kind of scary how like you want. And also, I know Denzel Curry, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do any drugs, he does like, he's actually really healthy, and he stays doing like martial arts and working out and blah blah blah. Travis Scott, obviously, just that dude is off something to be able to do that for an hour and a half. But I would definitely say between them, they both, and that's surely because of the charisma and the energy they bring on stage. You're there for an hour and a half. They do not even look like they're getting tired in the least. I'm not saying they aren't, but you got to keep in mind they're this is like I'll never understand as well. If you're a professional in hip hop, why would, like, if I'm paying to go see you live, I don't want to see you half-ass a show just to sing like 6% of the actual lyrics to the song, with the rest just playing in the background. It almost seems like a waste of my money and my time. But then you go to like a Travis Scott or a Denzel Curry concert, or I don't know, like a Logic concert or something like that, and as much as a good Logic shit, he's a really good performer for how many songs he has to spit that fast. Yeah, I think I think they're all dope performers live. Those are some of my personal favorites. I kind of want to hear what you guys think. Like, what is the best live concert you've ever been to? Like, leave a comment down below if you're on the YouTube platform, or just like tweet at me at Jack Bender with 2 R's at the end. I kind of want to know, because I talked to a lot of people about the best concert they've ever been to. I've heard a lot of people say Travis. I've heard a lot of people say they've been to like an Earth Gang concert or a JID concert, or even or all the way to like a DaBaby concert or whatever. Certain performers, certain people like prioritize certain aspects of performances. For me, energy is the biggest thing. For other people, it might be voice control, whatever. But kind of want to hear what you guys have to say, because it interests me a lot. Best hip hop album of the decade. I'm not gonna read this guy's username. You'll see it on the screen. Definitely for me, To Pimp a Butterfly. As cliche of an answer as it is, I think there's just no album in the last decade that plays so strong to its theme as To Pimp a Butterfly. It sticks very religiously to the theme and delivers the concept better than any other concept album I've heard in the last decade, or even the last 2 decades, I could say. It feels like I'm literally, like, the narrative of it is impeccable. The narrative of To Pimp a Butterfly is so beautifully, artistically brilliant that it's hard for me to say any other album. I think people saying this isn't Kendrick's best album clearly need to, invest themselves more and to understand the concept of it, and maybe those are probably the people who have just listened to it like 2 times through. I've listened to that thing like 12 times through, and that was like in the first like 5 weeks I had heard it. It's something that you need to resonate more, and once it does resonate, it hits like that. And I think if you're still, preaching something over it. I think I'm not gonna call you out, call you stupid for having your own opinion, but it just seems very clear as day to me personally. I think To Pimp a Butterfly is the best album of the last decade. Just and it's beautifully done. Songwriting, thematically, brilliant. It's emotionally. He's so emotionally invested. I mean, come on, how many? What is it? It's something hits different on the track "You," where you're just hearing Kendrick cry in the studio. Yeah, that is, I still think that's the best Kendrick song of all time. That or "Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst." It's the album is just perfectly executed. It's exactly what lots of rappers try to do with concept albums, but fall short on in one front or another, where Kenny didn't at all. So yeah, shout out Kendrick Lamar, shout out to Pimp a Butterfly. I don't know how anyone could not be hip but get hip. All right, that's actually going to be it for this episode, guys. I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in for episode 2 of Bar4Bar. We're going to have a new episode out very soon as well. I will keep you guys posted on that. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening or streaming, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace out, guys.